I'm in a reflective mood today.
Oh boy, one of these days. Granny, get the tissue ready.
No, not like that.
Okay, you're not gonna make me cry.
But I want to get out ahead of something that could make you cry. It might make a lot of us cry. I don't even know how many people know that this is all going on, because it's one of those stories that I feel like most sports fans, if you're really dialed in to the NBA, maybe you know what's going on. Maybe you've sort of loosely heard something about it. But a lot of you, this is one of those stories, it's going to drop one of these days, and 75% of the public's going to go, what? I didn't even know that was being discussed. The NBA contracts are up for renewal across broadcast networks right now, and there is a battle going on. There's a battle going on between NBC and TNT. And right now, NBC is winning. And TNT has got to decide if they would like to come up with north of $2.5 billion to keep the NBA. And if they don't, and industry insiders are suggesting that they won't, if they don't, bye-bye inside the NBA. Bye-bye. Ernie and Chuck and Kenny and Shaq. Would you agree that right now in American sports content, where does that sit in terms of the most popular, the most recognizable, the most loved, the most iconic of all things that go on right now in sports media?
It's probably the most iconic and the most popular, the most beloved, and I would add the most unique of just content out there. The Manning cast has become unique and popular, but it's not nearly inside the NBA. Now, I guess outside of games, you have things like Around the Horn, PTI, whatever that Stephen A. Smith stuff is. I don't watch it. First Take, I guess is what they call it.
Sure.
First Yell, First Shriek is what I actually refer to it occasionally.
Okay.
But that to me is a different thing because that's not in and around a game. As far as pre, post, or in-game, it is the most unique. It's the most well-renowned. It's the absolute best. That four-man cast of characters, Ernie, Shaq, Kenny, and Charles, you just know. And, you know that Kenny's going to trot up to the board. Shaq's going to do crazy things. Charles is going to have wild opinions. And Ernie is simply the greatest point guard maybe in the history of studio television.
Might be the greatest human being, too.
He just might be.
You know what I mean?
I mean, I saw a story. I was reading a story on Twitter the other day about a guy who had his bar mitzvah about 30 years ago, and his dad called Ernie and just said, "Hey, Ernie, my kid's having his bar mitzvah. Would you send him a message?" Ernie not only sent him a message, but they did a mock, like, "Hey, we got a great prospect here, this 13-year-old Ezra Gold," or whatever his name is, and I'm making that up. But Peter Vesey jumped in, and it was a whole, studio thing that Ernie went out of his way to create for this kid. He does stuff like that all the time.
Not only that, and that has been really cool to follow on social media this week. I want to, and I think it's okay to do so, I want to share with our audience what happened less than an hour ago. We knew we wanted to have a discussion about this, and I said to Lucas, and Matt and I were sitting there talking about it, fire off a text to Ernie Johnson. TNT is off tonight. See if Ernie will come on. Let me tell you right now that if you, in the middle of contract negotiations, in the world of sports media, if you fire off a text to somebody that is at the level of Ernie Johnson on that day, when the whole building in which he lives could be crumbling, the percentage of people that would even text you back is less than one. Ernie is the less than one.
Yep.
But not just did he respond, this is what Ernie said. Absolutely, normally I would totally come on, and I know what you're waiting for. I would come on, but, we're right in the middle of these contract negotiations, and I just don't want to speak on it.
Right.
No, that's not what Ernie said. I'd totally come on, but it just so happens that my kids stopped by with the grandkids, and so we're going to be doing that this afternoon.
Jeez.
That's Ernie Johnson.
Right. And his tone was almost apologetic.
Completely.
I'm sorry that I'm going to have to choose my grandkids over two strange yahoos in San Francisco.
Correct.
It was close, but I'm going to go with the grandkids.
If Inside the NBA on TNT goes away, I will miss it. And there isn't a lot of that out there.
Things you miss.
And so we kind of wanted to throw this out. And in fact, let's go ahead and unlock, guys. Would love to hear from a lot of you. Inspired by the NBA on TNT, which is not gone yet, but it's down by 10 in the fourth quarter. 888-957-9570. What do you miss in sports? What do you miss in sports content? Like as we sit here today, because I will truly, I can't think of much else out there where I would feel loss. God, I had a really dark thought on the way to work today. FP is going to join us a little bit later. And some of you may have heard the story earlier in this week that the Giants' plane flight to Colorado was like awful. It was awful.
Been a lot of wind this week around the country.
Right, no doubt. It was awful. And so some of the guys have shared what this felt like. And I thought to myself, okay, make it a little less personal. What if a plane carrying a sports team, and I know it's happened before, right? Marshall and whatnot. Like, what if a plane carrying a team crashed? My God. Like, I mean, seriously, it really will send chills down your spine to think about. So we're not talking about anything to that level, but like what is out there in sports or sports media right now that if it went away, you would really feel lost. And I know a lot of you want to line up and say Willard and Dibs. It's so nice of you. I thank you for all those comments that are flying in right. No, but for real, the list is short. And Inside the NBA, for me, is very near the top of that list.
Yeah, especially from a sports media standpoint. And, it's easier to talk about things that you won't miss as opposed to things that you will miss.
Oh, hell yeah.
I won't miss, if it went away, the in-between quarters coaches interview where, hey, after one, we go down and let's talk to Greg Popovich. And Popovich ices some poor reporter for two questions and then, back up to you, Mike.
Well, Pop is actually one of the only ones I will watch because I'm like, is he actually going to pop the media member? Like, but we need to play better on offense and then we need to play better on defense.
All that.
And so we'll be back, and that's what we're going to try to do. All right, thanks, Coach, for the amazing insight.
Right.
Let's go back to you, Bob. I mean, good God, thank you for saying that. That can go away now.
Sure.
Here's another one. By the way, a lot of you lined up to say this. You were going to miss it. You were going to miss it. You don't miss it. You don't miss the DH.
No.
Get the hell out of here with that.
You mean pitchers hitting.
You do not miss. Yes, thank you. You do not miss that conversation about the DH. You do not miss Johnny Cueto at the dish.
Coming up, 7-8 and an automatic out. Next.
Bases loaded, 2 outs. Oh, crap. It's the third inning. And
you know what I do miss while we're in this sphere talking about the diamond in baseball? I miss managerial arguments because now you have to, you have the manager, you cut to the dugout and the manager puts up the stop sign to the pitcher or the first baseman does the double earphones thing. So now we got to go to the headsets and we pick up the phone and thumbs up, and now we're going to challenge. I miss the days where the manager could just come out and go, hey, you blew that one, and I'm going to give you an earful, and if I go too far, maybe I kick dirt on you, maybe I pull the base out, or whatever I'm going to do. It's a real human interaction. I miss humanity in sports because now everything is, we got to go to the monitor. And I mentioned the Pacer debacle with the 76 or 78 calls that they think have been wrong, including a double dribble. We got to go to the headsets now, and we got to look at the monitor to see if Hottenstein actually double dribbled in the backcourt or not. And after further review, it's not a double dribble. And so now Carlisle gets mad, and he gets 2 texts. I miss humanity in sports.
It's a good answer. It's a good answer, Dibs.
Thank you.
It's a good answer. I threw it out to our group this morning. What do you miss in sports? And you sort of just gave an encapsulation sensation of what your answer is.
Yeah.
Grandy wrote, I miss Buster Posey. You miss Buster Posey. Says Giants haven't made the playoffs without him since like 2004.
I looked it up. It's actually 2003.
Okay.
Last time they made the playoffs without Buster Posey on the roster.
Oh, that's okay. Without Buster Posey. I didn't quite get it. I'm like, didn't they make the playoffs like a couple of years ago with Buster?
3 years ago, yeah.
But and I was driving. I was trying not to.
He was playing great.
Yeah. My phone was I'm in Bay Bridge traffic, and
and then he left.
So the last time they made the playoffs without Buster was
03.
Correct. They lost the World Series, of course, in 2002, and then lost to the Florida Marlins in 2003.
A kid born shortly after the Giants last made the playoffs without Buster just bought a beer.
He's actually going to buy his first beer a week from today.
Yeah.
He's my son, and his name is Keon. He was born in 2003.
Time to put his lips on a farmer.
I think he's going to.
All right. Here's kind of what I wrote. I miss Tiger Woods, and I know he's not gone, but you know what I mean.
Yep.
I miss that presence.
Hey, it's Tiger.
Yeah. I miss Tiger Woods. I miss the ability to go to 49ers games. Now, that may sound wonky to some. Let me explain. And I don't want to go too deep into it. A lot of it is just my current life, right? Like single dad, 3 kids. Sundays are on school nights. I've got a show on Sunday nights. If I want to go to a Monday night or a Thursday night game, I essentially have to take the kids out of school. Part of it is just where I work and where I live. But going to a 49er game takes months of planning and saving sometimes too. But months of, like, I'm not joking. They are begging to go. And the ease of going to a 49er football game for me, for my situation, is somewhat up a creek. It's not impossible. It'll happen.
Right.
Maybe once a year, maybe once every 2 years, but it's really an undertaking. And so I miss that. You know, my dad and I had a season ticket package when I was the age that my kids are now, and we would get in the car and go to Candlestick, and so for your 1 o'clock game, we'd get in the car at 10:45 and go to the game, and we were home for dinner. That was easy.
Yeah.
Just drive there, and then we just drive home.
Yeah.
And now it is just a whole damn thing, and even if you do live down in the South Bay, you know, you and I were doing that show before the Giants-Niners game, the home opener last year, and we got the word middle of our show starts at 2. We're probably 45 minutes in, and people are calling, and they're like, we're on the road outside the stadium, and we haven't moved.
Right.
In an hour. Like, good Lord.
We got off the air early at 5:30, and there were people streaming down the street.
Streaking.
And the game had kicked. And you still had thousands of people clamoring and hustling to try to get in there. So you're not wrong. And I'm just going to tag that little bit with, I miss Candlestick. I miss it more than I thought. And I love Oracle Park.
Yep.
And I love Levi's when I'm there.
I thought of that, and I'm like, that's a bad answer. No,
I miss Candlestick.
I do too.
I miss the parking lot.
That's weird.
I miss, being able to park down on Carroll Street and walk in. I miss the affordability. I miss the stick.
I miss that when a Dodger fan walked by, that Dodger fan got screamed at, not high-fived by all the other Dodger fans.
That's a good point.
That's what I remember about Candlestick. You'd be walking through there with a blue jacket on. You'd be about to get it.
I was there for fight night.
Were you?
Yeah, that doubleheader when there was hundreds of